Hi, I'm Matt DeNardo. I'm here with the American Chemical Society. The question I have is, coal is a business, right? And it seems that, if anything, the profit margin on coal is going to drop as the supply increases due to countries shifting to renewables. And it seems like we're looking to reach cost parity with solar, and you've got a pretty heavy price war in solar, right? The dropping. Is the industry investing in renewables? And if not, why not?
I could actually say the industry is investing in renewables. What you find with coal companies is, like a lot of resource companies, some of them start off as coal exclusive companies, and they sort of grow if they get bigger into energy companies. And what they look for is a return on their investment. So if they've got $10 to spend, are they going to get a better return on $10 invested in solar or $10 invested in nuclear or gas or coal? And that's what happens with coal companies becoming energy companies. But there are many companies, such as Anglo, that have investments in solar power. There are other coal companies that have investments in wind power, etc. But the hard coal facts are, if you look at the World Energy Outlook that was released by the IEA just 3 weeks ago, for the first 10 years of this century, coal provided half, and this was in Norman's presentation, coal provided half of the new on-grid electricity. For each of the last 20 years, according to the IEA, coal has been the fastest growing fuel. According to WEO 2011, if you want to provide energy access for all under their definition in the IEA, half of the on-grid electricity, according to the IEA, will come from coal. So the demand for coal is out there. It's not, in a way, it's quite an interesting question. There is a demand for coal, which is based on the fact that it's a baseload power, which is a known technology, it's very, very affordable compared to everything else. The challenge, of course, is climate change and working in a carbon-constrained world. The motivation behind, I think, many coal companies, many companies like Anglo and Rio Tinto, Xstrata, etc., Shenhua Energy in China, the motivation there is that these are companies that need to seek profits, but they're also companies that live in the world we all live in. You know, Norman's got a couple of daughters who've just finished university. I've got a couple of daughters. We want them to have, you know, a lifestyle as good as ours. We want them to breathe air as good as ours, etc. So, you know, motives in companies are no different from motives in activist groups. You know, sorry.
Sorry, Jennifer, can I just add a little bit before you come in? Yeah. Most of the coal mining companies in many of the countries, such as South Africa, USA, Australia, Indonesia, etc., are indeed private companies. And they have to work on the laws of supply and demand and profit and so on and so forth and so on. I think the big countries like India and China, the coal is produced mainly by the state. But in the countries that have private companies like Anglo-American, what are they doing? I think Milton has already said almost all of it. But for example, one arm of Anglo-American, Anglo-Platinum, has got a fuel cell generator right now providing 150 kilowatt of electricity into COP17, which is equivalent to almost all the electricity required by COP17. We, in my particular business unit, invest heavily into all the technologies that I talked about. The development of those technologies, we're involved in that both from a financial point of view and from providing human resources to try and ensure that we can develop those technologies and make coal more usable into the future.
All right, I'll rank with the two because I'm not from the coal industry. What I want just to indicate that again, you need to have effective policy instruments to make sure that you force them to invest in renewable energy. For example, in South Africa, what we do is we levy about 2 cents grams on the non-renewable generation to make sure that, because that's from next year, that money is going to be ring-fenced to specifically for government to invest in renewable energy. However, there is going to be kind of a dispensation that is going to allow those companies who are actually doing, already investing in renewable energy to have certain kind of tax breaks. So basically that's what you can do as policy instrument, a stick and a carrot.
And so just quickly, I mean, on the previous question, I just want to say, I think that unless you're fully mitigating for the CO2, there is no such thing as clean coal. And that does have cost implications. Because if you're looking at trying to get to CCS and actually see if it works, which we don't yet know on large-scale plants besides enhanced oil recovery, then we need to be investing in large-scale demonstrations to try and see if that's going to work, and we need to be transferring those technologies to developing countries, which hasn't, in my view, been happening enough as of yet. So, for example, I know South Africa is interested in this, but and I was working in Europe at the time of trying to get some funding to come down to South Africa, but it has to be a joint partnership that's happening here in order to drive down that cost. And I guess just quickly, I mean, I think this assumption that you can't have a profitable business and a sound economic growth for our families without coal, I just really want to challenge. And I think that if we got the prices right and we got the policies in place that you're speaking about, we could have quite a different future. But that requires a power shift, literally and figuratively, in order for that to occur.
That would also require a power shift in terms of solar energy and renewables providing baseload energy, which they don't do today. So there is a technical issue involved as well as pricing, but there's a gentleman who's been waiting patiently in the middle, and then we'll move to the front row, I guess.